Well, hey, everybody, back in the studios for the first time in a while. Excited. Man, missed this. Love this. I got to put some new ears up there. I'll do that before tonight's show. All right. How about episode 182 of Mike in the Midwest? Let's talk about it. Here we go. I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but we're going to talk for 20 minutes. Oops, that's not what we need. It does that. Let's see. Fix this real quick. Delete that file. Where is the delete button? Delete. No. All right, let's try this again. All right, let's try this again. Sorry about that. Here we go. Nope, did it again. Dang. Let me fix this real quick. Why it's doing that now? You leave the studio for 10 minutes. Check 1 2 1 2. Let me just test. Check 1 2 1 2. Let me just... Now let's see if it works. Here we go. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 182 of Mike in the Midwest, our mini podcast for the amazing patrons just like you of the Be Our Guest podcast. Of course, my name is Mike Rallman, host of the Be Our Guest podcast, and we're recording episode 182 here on, nope, it's not Monday, it's Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. So one final time, Happy New Year. Hope 2024 is getting settled in for you and that you're having a great start to the year, getting into those routines and things are going well, and that you are having warmer weather than we're having here in the Midwest. As we talk about Mike in the Midwest, it is cold. This morning when I got up, it was below zero air temperature with wind chills of about 15 degrees below zero. And I know that's not unusual for most people, maybe tuned in here around the country. It's cold everywhere. So hang in there. Warmer days are ahead. Baseball season here, about a month and a half away. I guess spring training will be started in about 1 month down in Florida and Arizona. So warmer days are ahead. We can make it. And we'll be talking about some of those, well, not exactly warm days that we got to experience out at Disneyland this week on the Be Our Guest podcast. It was chilly out there, but it wasn't bone chilling like it is here in the Midwest and upper Midwest. And even in the South, I saw my friend Adam down in Huntsville, Alabama, was shoveling some snow and even helping getting his workers into work because I believe he drives a big pickup truck or a Jeep. So, at Nashville, I know they were having all kinds of issues with snow and ice. So hang in there. We're going to make it through this. It's going to warm up eventually. And, but man, there's nothing fun about cold. I can tell you that, man. There's just, I know that we all complain about the heat, but I'm just telling you what, man, the cold is, I don't know whether it's, once you hit 50 or something, it's no fun, man. When my toes get cold, there's nothing worse. I feel like they're going to fall off my foot, and it's not fun at all. But hope you're doing well, staying warm. I'll tell you what, the Be Our Guest Podcast Studios, this is the place to be in the cold weather. It's nice and toasty in here. Once I close the door, when you have, you got your lights, you got your two monitors, you got your old PC here, which is a big, one of the old boxes from probably 10 years ago that's probably not super efficient. It helps heat the room. And I got enough computer equipment in here that I don't need a heater really, but I do have, of course, the heat from the house. So we're doing pretty good here. Not too bad. And just got back from Disneyland, of course, late last night. So trying to settle into the routine. So as you guys know, We did the Dopey to Dumbo Double Dare out at Disneyland. Just completed that over the course of about 10 days. And I'll tell you what, man, I'll be honest with you. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I got home yesterday and just football was on because, of course, that Bills Steelers game was pushed back a day because of the extensive snow in Buffalo. So they pushed that back to Monday. Then we have Monday Night Football with, what was it, the Eagles and the Bucks. So that was on last night. So I was pretty happy that I had something to watch on TV. Of course, caught up with Mallory and Pam because I hadn't seen them very much over the past, 10, 11 days because I was down in Florida, came home for a couple days and then went to Disneyland. So hung out with them, but I laid down on our couch. Man, I was out like a light. I was just exhausted because we'll talk about this on the podcast this week. But I mean, of course, Mike in the Midwest is kind of like just my take on things, and you get the little preview of what's going to happen on the podcast because we're going to record the shows this afternoon at 5:30 Eastern. But the one thing I will say is that while I always say Disneyland is easy, and it is, it's so easy. Like when you get Genie Plus and Park Hopper, you can do whatever you want, really. And it's just so easy to get on attractions. We did so much on Sunday after the half, and even on Saturday after the 10K. We did so much at the parks. It was unbelievable. But it's exhausting because you never stop because you can just keep doing things at Disneyland with Genie Plus. Because as soon as you walk off, say, Mr. Toad's, you look and you say, oh, well, I'm 15 steps from Alice in Wonderland and the wait time is only 15 minutes for that. Let's go over and do that. And then when you get off that, you're like, oh, the Storybook Canal Boats, 20-minute wait. That's a cute little ride. Let's go do that. Oh, the Casey Jr. Circus Train, 5-minute wait. And it goes like that forever. So you guys know me here on the show, right? So I'm the king of go back and take a midday break. I never took a midday break the entire time I was there. I was there Thursday to Sunday. I had a 4-day Park Hopper ticket with Genie Plus. I stayed offsite at a place called the Grand Legacy Hotel, which I'll review on the show this week or soon. From my hotel, which was at the corner of Disney Way and Harbor, which was right across from, I was directly across from Guardians, the old Tower of Terror building. It was right by there. It was a 4-minute walk from the time I left my hotel to being under the Disneyland sign where you go like walk technically on property right before you get to security. So 4-minute walk. So super close. But I still never took a midday break because again, I love Disneyland, right? And I love the density of the attractions, and we had so much fun. We just kept going because Genie Plus, you don't have to stop. You can lightning lane your big attractions, but of course you're always looking on the app at the tip board, and the tip board is showing you because there's just so many attractions. You can always, especially somebody who has not been there very much, you can always find something that looks exciting, even if it's something minor. Like I'm going to talk about this. Well, we'll jump into this here in just a second because it kind of goes along with the main topic I want to that I reflected upon this whole experience since January 3rd when I went down to Walt Disney World for the Dopey, and it continued through yesterday, wrapping up the Dumbo Double Dare. But it was basically enjoying the journey, not the destination. Enjoying the little stuff, not just enjoying crossing the finish line. Don't enjoy just getting handed the medal. Enjoy mile 7 of the race in the half marathon. Enjoy mile 14 of the full marathon. Enjoy mile 2 of the 10K. Enjoy mile 2 of the 5K. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the pieces that get you there. Don't just enjoy the goal. So we'll talk about that here in just a second, but I want to hit the feedback because, of course, I love when folks take the time to come over to patreon.com/BRGuestPodcast and just drop a few lines. 2 people did that. Of course, it was a crazy week. A lot of folks were doing the races. A lot of folks had a lot going on. It's the beginning of the year, but please, if you can, leave feedback over at patreon.com/BRGuestPodcast. You're a patron. Come on by. There's video for all these too as well, so you can check that out as well as the audio. Trisha said, congrats, Mike, Scott, and all the lizards. Love that we have such a positive running community. Hope you had fun in Disneyland. P.S. Parasailing? But you won't go on the balloon in Disney Springs? That is correct. I am nothing but a study in things that don't make sense. yes, I will parasail. I don't really enjoy parasailing, but I'll do it for my daughters. I did it for Paige because she really wanted to do it. Wasn't a huge fan. Um, Probably wouldn't have wanted to be in the boat below me, but I held it all together, and I'll do it for Mallory because, of course, when you do it for one daughter, you have to do it for the other, especially Mallory because she's all about everything's got to be equal. And if I didn't do it for her, I love Paige more, kind of thing. So I'm going to do it for Paige or for Mallory when we go on our cruise this summer. So yes, I'll do it. And of course, I used to be scared to fly. Now I love flying. I hope you saw my reels. I got a picture of the Hollywood sign coming into LAX. I thought that was amazing. I didn't know you could see the Hollywood sign, but I looked and I saw like white on those hills, and I took the picture and then I zoomed in on the picture. I'm like, darn, that is the Hollywood sign. I got a good picture. I didn't know, but I thought it could be because I'm always like looking at I'm just a nerd, right? The whole time I'm flying, I always have a window seat and I'm always looking on FlightAware. I buy the internet just so I can use the FlightAware app, the $8. I know I'm a sucker. But I always that way I can look at the really, really specific maps as we're flying across the country. And I want to see like, okay, are we going to go close to any like the Grand Canyon when we're going to Disneyland? You know, what the Zion National Park, like what are we going to go close to that I might be able to get a picture of or see that I've never seen before? I want to see it from the air. You know, what mountains are we crossing? And so I always try to take pictures of that kind of stuff. I have so many pictures from the air when I go, and I just hope I get a clean window, like when I have a window seat. And I did get a picture of the Hollywood sign. So I was super excited about that. I got a picture of SoFi Stadium where the Rams play when I landed. And of course, picture of LAX, that cool looking, kind of arches. That's pretty neat too. Dennis also says, congratulations on your 10th marathon. That's a huge achievement. Good luck at Disneyland. I can't wait to see the pictures and hear all about it. Thanks, Dennis. And also, I did make a Reels over on Instagram, so you can check that out. It's just like a little mini movie of pictures that I took with a lot of our lizards and a lot of our friends that came up to say hello. And just kind of like it's kind of inspired by what the Mizzou football team did this past year. After every game, they made a mini movie that just showed some highlights of the week. And I did that for the Dopey, and I did that for Disneyland. So just to show some teacups, shows the train, shows some ice cream, shows some Scott and I riding I don't know, they were like it was like a carousel over at DCA that had some Jesse's like weird creatures or something. I think I was on an ostrich. I think he was on a skunk. But it's just kind of a fun little, it's got the Hollywood sign picture on it and stuff and pictures of the medals and stuff. So you might want to check that out. So Instagram, Be Our Guest Mike, you can check that out in my reels. So that's over there. All right. So for today's show, I just wanted to again emphasize that I really try to make a goal out of course, the focus is always going to be on when you're doing something like the Dopey Challenge and then you're going out to Disneyland to get your coast to coast medal and you're trying to, do the Dumbo Double Dare, which I wasn't technically signed up for because I couldn't get in, but I did the 10K and the half. So I did the distance. I did the 19.3. So I considered myself like doing the challenge, even though I didn't get the shirt or the medal. I tried to sign up. They wouldn't let me. They wouldn't take my money. Disney, what's going on? But the thing was, when I look back on the experience of the past 11 days or so, what I get out of this is that I really did enjoy the journey. I enjoyed the flying. I enjoyed the hotels. I enjoyed being at Coronado Springs at Walt Disney World. It's a great hotel to stay at, right? What I really, really enjoyed, and this is kind of cutting to the chase right at the end here, is the people that I got to meet over the past 10 or 11 days, new and old. The one thing about having our running team, which I looked on Facebook, there's over 2,800 folks that are a part of the Lizards running Facebook page. 2,800. That just blows me away because I mean, a lot of people just have a hatred for running, and I understand it because there were many times over the past couple of weekends that I had a hatred for running because the course for the half marathon out of Disneyland was not great. It was a hard course, and there were a few times that I had a hatred for running on Sunday. But then again, we'll talk about this probably this week on the show. A certain song came on shuffle as the sun was rising over the mountains in Southern California, and my perspective changed immediately. And I knew I was blessed, and I knew somebody was trying to tell me something like, Mike, get your head straight. How lucky are you right this second? You are so lucky. You are so blessed. You are not miserable. You are able to run a half marathon. You are blessed beyond words. Get it together. And it was because a certain song came on, and it was a playlist I call Mike's Ultimate Playlist on my phone that has over 1,000 songs on that playlist, and just the perfect song came on. What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong. It's sunrise over the mountains, and I never see mountains. I love seeing mountains because I never see mountains in the Midwest, and it just totally changed my perspective on things. And it's like, somebody's telling you something like, you got to get yourself together, Mike. You can't let that negative get at you. You gotta realize what blessings you have all around you. And so, that was towards the end of this whole experience, right? Because that was at mile 8, at the mile 10 or something of the half marathon on Sunday. So this was kind of as this whole big experience was wrapping up. But when you think about it, you gotta savor, when you look at this experience and you're looking forward to it. This was going to happen in the beginning of January 2024, but as you're looking at this experience and you're looking forward to this dopey challenge that runs into the Disneyland half marathon Dumbo Double Dare experience, when you're looking at this in the summer before this and in the fall and you're looking forward to it, you're thinking about, okay, I'm going to get 9 medals, I'm going to get 10 medals, I'm going to run 70 miles or so, and I'm going to do all this. You're looking at like all the tangible things that you're going to do. You're looking at quantitative things, which we do as runners. I'm definitely addicted to my Apple Watch, closing the rings, getting as many miles in as I can. I'm definitely that person. But what I found out over the past, 10 or so, a little bit less than 2 weeks, is that I found joy because there was times where I was, with Scott's family a lot. There was times that I was with other friends from the running team, but there was a lot of times where I did a lot of stuff alone because my family didn't go. And observationally, I found joy watching a lot of things happen. And one of the things was just being at the gates, flying to Orlando and flying to Southern California. You saw folks that were going to Walt Disney World, families, and going to Disneyland. And we take for granted, I think, sometimes that we get to go to these places, right? I mean, when I go, I always wear something Disney to the gate because I'm that geek. I always have on a Run Disney. If it's a Run Disney weekend, I'll wear a marathon jacket from the year before, one of my favorite ones or something like that, a hat. I always wear the part. If you see me at the airport, I'm going to a race. But you see these other families that have their, from St. Louis, they might just be like a Mickey Mouse shirt from Target, but they're all matching, the whole family. What have you. But the excitement on the kids' faces and the grandmas and the uncles that are getting ready to get on this Southwest plane to go to Orlando. When you sit back and think about it, like, I know what I'm getting into because I've been to Walt Disney World so many times. I'm so lucky that I've got to do that. But for these people that are getting on this Southwest jet, they might have never, ever set foot in Orlando before. Maybe this is their first time even getting on an airplane. So this is an exciting time for them. And I just was sat back and I would just listen to their conversations because the kids were like losing it. They were so excited because sometimes they were like, you could tell they were with like cousins, not just siblings, and the adults even. You could tell maybe they were with, siblings that they don't see all the time. The families, extended families were meeting up to go down for like a big vacation. And I enjoyed that. I saw that multiple times over the past couple of weeks. Also, when you're on a trip like this, running or not, one of the things I enjoyed was doing minor attractions because it was busy this past weekend, especially Sunday out at Disneyland. Now we had Genie Plus, so we could get around the crowds. It really wasn't a problem. But Scott's family did, they had a kind of a late lunch at Grand Californian on Sunday, and they invited me to go to that. But I finished the half a little bit earlier than Scott. So I had cleaned up already back at my hotel because we weren't at the same hotel. I had cleaned up and I was itching to get to the park. So I went to the park a little bit before Scott, got my medal pictures done over at DCA because that was where our reservation was. And like, I was hungry for lunch before Scott, like, he got back and cleaned up and stuff. And he had made a reservation for this restaurant at DCA, which is like a sit down place. And I just decided on my last day at Disneyland, there was some snacks that I hadn't had. And so I was just going to snack the rest of the day at Disneyland and DCA. That was my plan. So I instead went straight over to DCA, went over to Smoke Jumpers Grill. They have an awesome breakfast burrito that we had the day before and some breakfast fries. I know it sounds weird, but breakfast French fries are rocking. Got that, got my metal pictures in front of, the fun wheel or whatever it's called, the big Ferris wheel. And I was kind of on my own until Scott caught up with me later in the afternoon. I wasn't in a rush because, I didn't mind being alone at Disneyland. There's so much to do. So what I did was I seized the day and they still hadn't caught up because they were doing a sit down lunch over at DCA. So I was like, what am I going to do for lunch? I'm by myself still. You know what? I seized the opportunity. I had a corn dog from the Stage Door Tavern or whatever that is over there in by New Orleans Square, kind of in Frontierland. So a Disneyland corn dog for lunch, you might not think, oh, that's not really a good lunch. That was the best lunch ever. I mean, I'm eating a corn dog in Disneyland. Then I mobile ordered beignets from New Orleans Square. I mean, it wasn't a sit down lunch, but it was perfect for the day. It was my last day in Disneyland. I'm eating beignets and just kind of taking it all in to sit there in New Orleans Square and just watch the crowds go by. And of course, a Dixieland band comes out and starts playing. There's so much live entertainment everywhere in Disneyland. And then I was like, well, I want to do an attraction, but I want to do something I've never done still here. And there's still a lot that I haven't done at Disneyland. So the Mark Twain riverboat, the big white riverboat that looks like the Liberty Bell in Magic Kingdom, that was down for refurbishment. But the Columbia sailing ship was going. I'd never been on the Columbia sailing ship. So I'm like, score, let's do this. So I got on the Columbia sailing ship, checked out the top deck. And then, of course, I had to go down below decks because it has all kinds of cool stuff below decks down there to check out. And, did that and rode all the way around Tom Sawyer Island. That was so fun. It was so fun. And I did, I went on because I had Genie Plus. So while I was in the neighborhood, I had to do Haunted Mansion Holiday, which was still running for the fourth time, I think, because and I'm not even a fan of that movie. I loved Haunted Mansion Holiday at Disneyland. And I didn't think I'd like it because I don't like the movie. And I'm thinking, why are you messing with a classic attraction? Holy cow. That is a totally, totally different attraction when it's got that. It's not an overlay. It's like a redo. But the music's catchy. It's eye-popping. It's exciting. I don't know, man. I loved it. Like I can't believe I loved it, but it was so well. I did it 4 times. And Genie Plus will let you do that over 4 days. But it was just one of those things, like when you're there, enjoy the small stuff. Another night, I was going solo, and you think when you're like a Walt Disney person, like your meals and stuff, you want to have like a sit down meal because we're always thinking like, oh my gosh, I want to eat at Chef Mickey's or I want to do beaches and cream. And I think this way totally as a Walt Disney World person. But you know what? One of the best things I had, I think this was Friday night. Friday night, it was chill. It was chilly the whole time out there. And I mean, chilly by the lows in the evenings in the parks were probably about 50, maybe 40. Yeah, probably around 50. When we ran the races in the morning, we'd be in the crowds at about 4 or 5 in the morning. And it was usually around 45. So in the parks in the evening, it was probably 50. And so you wear a jacket and you'd be fine. I wore thermals and a jacket, not because I run cold, but that was fine. So the one night, I guess it was a Friday night, I had clam chowder in a bread bowl at the Harbor Galley right there along the water by Tom Sawyer Island. And it was perfect. I mean, I had it alone. I FaceTimed my wife and I was just like, I am sitting across from the Haunted Mansion along the rivers of America. And none of my family likes clam chowder. They don't like anything that has any kind of seafood tinge to it. So I was like, I get to finally have clam chowder out of a bread bowl at Disneyland along the rivers of America. And it was delicious and it was chilly. And so that warm clam chowder was like warming not only my body, but my soul. And I was just like, how lucky am I to be at Disneyland? And, you just, when you take the time to think about that you can enjoy and I know we don't like flying, right? Because especially when you're 6'3", like I am, I was crammed in my flight. Michael Luchterman knows he's a dentist and he's from St. Louis and one of our lizards and a great friend. He bought me a Coke Zero at the airport at LAX. And I sure appreciate that yesterday morning. It's one of those things, right? That there are unpleasant things all along a journey like this, right? Running is not comfortable all the time. Waiting in line is not a desired outcome for things. Running hurts your body, but we get to run. And eventually you're going to get to a finish line, which is going to give you so much joy because somebody's going to hand you a medal, which is a symbol of not only that day, but it's a symbol of, that hard training run that you did back in October that you didn't want to do, but you got out there anyway. Maybe it was, 87 degrees with high humidity, but you decided to get out of bed and do it. That medal wasn't just for Sunday at Disneyland, it was for the training run. So it's to be celebrated. And I think that, as we kind of, get into this new year of 2024, I hope that, this is what I'm kind of talking to myself here on Mike in the Midwest, but I hope that we can kind of do this as a community and with the Disney slant on things. We get to go to Walt Disney World. We get to go on Disney cruises. We get to go to Disneyland. We get to do all kinds of Disney adventures. And I know that there's positives and negatives to everything. There's cost. Cost is one of the things that doesn't let us go as much as we'd like. That's one of those things we just can't get around. But either way, when we get to go and we all save and we give up other things to be able to go to Disney. Like I drive a 2012 Jeep it's got 1 million miles on it, and I don't want to get a new car because I like travel. I like to do what I do. I'm pretty simple. And I like what I love being here. I love doing I love my life. I love everything about it. I don't need fancy stuff. I don't wear fancy clothes, and I'm as happy as I love what I have. I am so content with what I get to do. And I'm so blessed that folks support us here on Patreon. I'm so blessed that you guys book your vacations with us at the Magic for Less, because that allows me to do what I do and be so happy. I'm so happy with what I have, and I'm so blessed. And I know that. But as we move through 24, I want to look even further into appreciating the small things, especially on Disney vacations. Find the ride on the train not as a transportation option, but as entertainment, and find joy in watching other guests discover things for the first time. It's so cool when you see other guests like react to the fireworks show. Now you might have seen Happily Ever After 17 times. But I choke up every time Go the Distance comes on. I'm a sucker. I have to prepare. My kid, when I'm there with Mallory, she makes fun of me every time. That's just how it is. That's why it's better when I'm solo. But when you see like a little boy or little girl, like Let It Go comes on during Happily Ever After, or you see like a mom kind of choke up, that's what it's all about. Like, enjoy that. Like, there's no problem to enjoy other people's happiness. It's great when other people are happy, or when somebody is in a park having a struggle and you can help them solve that because you have the information. Don't be pushy, but you have the information, or you can just lend a hand. You can tell when people need a hand or an encouraging word in the theme park, because theme parks can be overwhelming for first timers. Shoot, they can be overwhelming for all of us. I do this for a living. They're overwhelming for me all the time. But when you can be that positive change for somebody in a theme park, let's do that here in 2024. But more importantly, enjoy the small stuff. You know what? I went out to Disneyland to get my Coast to Coast medal, which I love. It was really cool. It looks like a little suitcase. It's got California in one corner. It's got Florida in the other. It's got the two castles. I love it. And I never thought I'd get a Coast to Coast medal. So it's pretty cool. It's a treasure that I'll keep forever. But you know what? I enjoyed that corn dog from the Stage Door Cafe just about as much. And it wasn't a fancy meal, but it was just the essence of Disneyland. I was eating a corn dog in Disneyland. I enjoyed seeing the band, the jazz band in New Orleans Square. That's Disneyland. How many people get to do that? I never thought I would, because I was scared to fly. I had to overcome my fear of flying to be able to do this. So that's an accomplishment to me. So I just hope that as we kind of always talk about Mike in the Midwest, that we can kind of all do that here in 24, right? That we have our big goals, and that we do want to chase medals, and we do want to chase goals of mileage if we're runners, or, you want to make sure that you go after those ADRs that you really hope for at Walt Disney World, and that you ride the attractions and see the shows you want to do. I mean, that's kind of the overarching goal of a Disney vacation. But my bottom line is here is I hope that we can all not miss the small stuff, because the small stuff is where the joy is. If it rains, let your kids splash in a puddle and don't freak out if they do. Take a picture of them splashing in the puddle, because that might be the picture you put on your desk when you get home. It might not be the picture with Mickey. Could be the picture of your kids splashing in the puddle because of the joy they find because they've never done that before. It's the unexpected opportunities that come up. And that's what happened time and time and time again for me over the past, 12, 13 days. I learned a lot about myself because, when you're solo, you got a lot of time to think. I fell during the half marathon. I tripped over a over a speed hump, which they told us was coming. I still didn't see it. Mile 4.5 of the half marathon, but I got up and finished. It wasn't bad. It was fine. But, it's just one of those things. Like, there's obstacles and you sometimes you avoid them and sometimes you run right into them, but you keep going and you make the most of it. And it gives you a story. The whole thing is it just gives you a story. It gives you a memory and it gives you something to talk about. I'll always remember that dumb old speed hump in the back of DCA. Why they put that there? But I just want you, we all kind of just need to remember that there's joy in the small stuff just as much as there is that coast to coast medal, which I'm going to treasure forever. There's just as much joy in that corn dog from Stage Door Cafe. And I didn't get it from the Little Red Wagon. You're asking because the wait time was too long for the mobile order. Because I know somebody's going to ask. I know I was hungry. So there's why. But I hope you're having a great week. Thank you so much for being a part of all this. I want to hear your feedback. Where have you found the little things? If you have, are you intentionally looking forward to things like this in 2024? Let me know. Patreon.com/BRGuest Podcast. Can't wait to hear your feedback. Let's make it an awesome 2024 and tune into the shows this week. We're going to have a great time. So until we talk again, you guys stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. All righty, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. We're recording the shows today at 5:30, all four of us. So be there or be square.